Hi, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. As we gather together with family and friends this week to give thanks, we'd like to thank all of you, our audience, for being our audience. And to show our appreciation, we'll do a show this week. And our guest this week is Chris Fries, a well-known voice actor whose story is a little different from most. We'll see what he's up to.
Traveling, can you do it as a working voice actor? Well, you know, that sort of all depends. What kind of work do you do? How in demand are you? How quickly do you have to turn around that work? And how willing are you to take risks? I'll talk about that.
And in our tip of the week, I'll don my old goalie mask and I'll answer definitively, what's the best recording software?
Put up your flamethrower shield. Tech tidbits. I'll share with you the latest tech news that I've seen on the web that I think you guys will all be interested in. And we've also got great studio of the week, picture and sound from one of our fans that I really think you guys should see and hear.
All right, that's East-West Audio Body Shop. This Sunday night, 9 o'clock in the East.
And 6 o'clock in the dark in the West.
We'll see you then.
He's the voiceover studio engineer of the Stars in Los Angeles, California, a Virginia Tech grad with a knowledge of recording studios unmatched in his field. He's a voice actor from Buffalo, New York, with 30 years experience in recording studios and behind the mic. He solves people's home voiceover studio problems in the blink of an eye. Together, there's no studio problem they can't solve, and they'll do it for you tonight. Welcome to East-West Audio Body Shop. Now, live from a basement in Buffalo and an office in LA, here are Dan Leonard and George Whittam.
Hi, I'm Dan Leonard in the East.
And I'm George Whittam in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. I caught you there.
You always try to.
I try. But you're a lot sharper than I am. Well, that's because you're a kid.
I'm a youngin'.
Yeah, the old brain's just going here. It's not going to last too long. But... Whoa. Anyway, hello. Welcome to our show once again. Another Sunday evening. And you didn't want to watch Homeland or Dexter. You wanted to watch us. Hey, you can watch it on...
Isn't there some sort of country music awards? Or some, no, there's some kind of award show tonight. I'm so out of the loop.
As long as it's not on Showtime. Oh, my wife and I actually caught up on Dexter. We watched 7 seasons of Dexter to catch up so we could catch up to this season.
Gosh, did you guys have like crazy dreams after that, or like start sharpening knives in your sleep, or what? I mean,
I'm not going to tell you.
My wife my wife's obsessed with American Horror Story Asylum.
Oh, geez.
Oh my God, man, that is twisted.
Ooh,
disgusting, twisted show.
Well, Dexter's a little sexier than that.
Yeah.
It's actually a very well produced show.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Thanksgiving week, so you're all like packing up, going, I gotta go home. I gotta hang out with my parents or whatever, or you'll gather with some friends who you can't stand hanging out with. Usually what we have, we're usually at a cousin's house. This year we're going to go with my mother-in-law, the entire family. Somehow my wife was able to use enough frequent flyer miles from about 10 different credit cards and got everybody in the family to my mother-in-law's in Florida this week.
That is amazing.
It's amazing how she does that. We're not sure how she does it, but she does it. We love her for it. But usually we have the it's the tournament of cranberry sauce. And to me, there's only one way. That's to open a can of Ocean Spray and having a log of cranberry sauce. and I'm happy, you know?
Easy to please.
Hey, it's the best stuff.
Hey, it's pretty good stuff. I got a nice jar of homemade cranberry sauce that is got Chipotle in it. Oh, baby. I can't wait. I love Chipotle sauce.
How California of you.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we've got a great show tonight. You thought last week was great. Last week was great. This week's going to be just as much fun because we got lots of great information for you. You guys come here because you want to hear about home voiceover studios. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And our special guest tonight is somebody who will actually be in his home studio. And that is Chris Fries, who is he does a lot of, I mean, I'm looking at the list of stuff he does.
He's a working voiceover.
He is a working voiceover guy with a very interesting story about how he got into voiceover. You know how we always usually ask somebody, how did you get started in voiceover?
Yeah.
Well, his path is a little more crooked than the average. I mean, I thought my path was pretty crooked, but this one's really crooked.
I think everybody has some oddball thing. I mean, you know, there's very few people that grow up wanting to be a voice actor. I mean, some people watch cartoon voices and go, I want to do that, you know? Right. But most of us grow up doing a lot of other things because either we didn't know about the voiceover industry at all. I mean, I'm not a voice actor, obviously. I fix studios, but I didn't grow up knowing anything about the voiceover industry. And it just sort of, you know, it's that circuitous route that takes you into this industry, you know? It's always interesting how you get here.
It is, and because it wasn't here 10 years ago. I mean, it was here, but not.
It was here, like, yeah, exactly.
You know, now it's totally different. Anyway, let's get the show on the road here before everybody hits the road and gets on their planes and heads to points unknown, or everybody starts piling into their house. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about this week, and we're going to start off with traveling.
Yeah, what do you know? How timely.
What a great segue, huh?
You know, I sat there thinking, you know, sometimes we don't come up with these ideas until literally a day or two before the show. Like, actually, we're sitting there ready to go the promo, and we're sitting there going, what the heck am I going to talk about? It's 72 episodes. What new thing can I possibly come up with to talk about? But,
well,
you know, so all of a sudden it popped into my head, traveling, you know, and how on earth you guys manage to travel and still keep up with your clients and keep them happy. Now, some of you, you know, it seems sometimes a little bit commensurate with the degree of work you're doing or the pay scale of work you're doing, you know, which makes sense, right? Some of you are lucky enough that, you know, you do awfully well for yourselves. But, you know, if you're doing promo or that kind of work where you have to be available when they say they need you, and sometimes in less than, you know, an hour, that's not very many people. But the more you're more in demand, hopefully you're getting paid accordingly. But it also means that traveling becomes far, far more difficult and even sometimes impossible. That's why sometimes the industry has been known to call it the golden handcuffs. So, but if you're getting started in voiceover, or you're more of a, you know, workaday voice actor, you're not in the Hollywood system and you're not doing stuff in that world, do you, you know, have to worry about traveling? And what are some of the ways to deal with it? Well, I mean, you guys, if you've been watching any of the episodes of the show, we, at least once every month, we talk about travel this, travel that. We obviously talk about iPad and all sorts of gadgets. We talk about our own mic pop screen that we came up with for the Apogee mic. Because traveling is like, it's definitely one of the big interests right now for the working voice actor who wants to be able to stay in touch with not just, you know, the working clients and make the gigs happen, but also be able to keep up with the auditions as they come in. Every missed audition can sometimes feel like a missed opportunity. And it's really easy to get obsessed with trying to make every darn audition. So you do have to ask yourself some really important questions. How important is it for you to be able to be, you know, able to make a job or make an audition happen for that 3, 4, 5, 6 day trip? You know, obviously there's some like sort of personal things you have to weigh with your family and your financial situation and all these things. But if it turns out that, you know, you just can't miss a gig, and I know how it goes because, you know, we're all getting in that position sometimes. I'm feeling like we're, you know, needing to make sure we don't miss a single client, and that's important to us. But it's, you know, you have to be flexible and you have to be resourceful. So one of the biggest problems that you're going to face, well, there's a couple of big problems you're going to face traveling. Some of them obvious, some of them not so obvious, but the obvious ones are noise and acoustics. And we've talked a lot about ways that we can deal with that. If you're staying at a family's house, hopefully they understand about what you do. And and if you really have to record something to keep a client happy, or to not just keep a client happy, but to keep a client, then hopefully they will be willing to comply and be quiet for that 5, 10, 20 minutes that you need to record that. But, you know, almost everybody can find a closet in a house stuffed full of winter clothes or whatever that you can squeeze yourself into, or get a recording off when you need to. Better solution. The Porta Booth, I'm getting more and more amazed at actually what it's capable of doing in not so great situations. The new Porta Booth Pro with the flap that goes over it can do an amazingly good job in even a pretty lively room. So if you don't mind traveling with a little extra equipment, bringing a Porta Booth or even the Porta Booth Plus with you may not be such a bad idea. You can fit more gear and wires and things inside those bags, so they can be pretty handy for traveling as well. But those are, the little bit more obvious. Sometimes the maybe less than obvious problems tend to creep up in the internet connection realm. And if anybody has to use a system like Source Connect, you're gonna realize real quickly where the internet problems are, because internet connections they're an interesting animal. They seem to work generally when you need them. When you say, I want to see a website, it generally responds and sends the website back. But there's always that delay it takes for it to do that. And it's always sending you this information in little spurts. Load this page, load these pictures, all that kind of stuff. But when you have to do something like Source Connect, where you have to stream audio real time from some random internet connection on the internet at a hotel or a guest house or who knows what, a cruise ship, things get a lot more interesting.
Good luck on that one.
Yeah, things get a lot more difficult, especially if you have to work over a satellite internet connection, which is probably what you'd have on a cruise ship or something. It's much more challenging. And I've been telling people lately, even if you don't need a Wi-Fi or one of those MiFi 4G modems for your day-to-day use, look into getting one. And I think Verizon now is starting to offer you the ability to buy the MiFi device itself and then sign up. And then instead of having to do a contract, you can actually do a pay-as-you-go plan now, which is a great way to deal with that problem and have a backup, because, yeah, you have no idea what you're going to run into. Sometimes you'll find that portable MiFi device, especially if it's a new one, the new LTE system, and I highly recommend that if you have an older unit sitting around and you're really going to want to keep this thing for a backup, upgrade it and get a new LTE-based modem, because the new ones that are on the Verizon network, AT&T, and Sprint, which is slowly catching up. They're nowhere near, coverage isn't nearly as good, but definitely the top two are Verizon and AT&T. But if you have an LTE unit, the speeds can be remarkable. I mean, we're talking Fios fiber optic type speeds. I've tested it at my home. My phone, I don't have a hotspot because I don't need it. I have the Samsung Galaxy S3, which has a hotspot mode. And I think those of you lucky enough to have the new iPhone 5s have that ability too. The speeds are incredible. I'm getting about 30 megabits down, 25 megabits up on a totally wireless connection. So even if you're staying at a family member's house where you feel like you've been there before, the internet connection's pretty decent, I still highly recommend getting something like this. Now, if it's just not within your means or just not, practical, or you just don't want to have the extra equipment or the cost, there's always the option of you record something and then you drive down the street to the Starbucks, you run in and buy a coffee, you get the some of them have free, some of them you have to get a little code, but whatever it is, and you can jump back out in the car and then use their internet connection to send your files, So there's always clever ways to work around the problem. But when it comes to traveling, it's all about preparation, planning, backup, and that's one of the things that I like to do as well for people. If traveling for you is absolutely a necessity of life, as well as keeping up with your clients, please, by all means, do let me know, and we'll make sure that we can plan ahead for you. Call the hotel, check the internet connectivity, all sorts of things, and make sure that your travels are as smooth as possible.
Right. And if you've got clients like that, I mean, if you've got clients who are like, political spots or car dealers, all sorts of stuff where things have to be changed. Yeah. Otherwise, I use one of these things an awful lot. Or if I know I'm going to be traveling, I pick this guy up and I say, I'm going to be gone for a couple days. Leave me alone.
What is that?
It's called a telephone.
Oh. In other words, you call them and say, I'm going to be busy. I'm not available.
Or I send out emails. And I usually what I do, and this is actually a great little marketing thing, is send out an email just before the beginning of the month and say, I'm scheduling all my work for December. If we have anything coming up, what's going to be happening? I will be out of town at such and such a time.
Yeah.
It's a great thing to do because they never pay any attention to it whatsoever. And you always know you're going to get a call somewhere. But of course, what's the old adage in this business? You want business, make plane reservations.
Get it. Plan a trip. That's how you can get more business. So, when in doubt, travel. No,
that's right. It's always worked for me.
No, the topic popped into my head because I had a client who does do promo and he's kind of on call, and his agent literally told him, the guy's daughter is getting married in Europe and Italy. And his agent tells him, he's like, do you want to lose your clients? Don't take a chance. And I'm just like, is that really what's happening at that level? But
yeah, really. Well, I mean, they pay these guys major dineros. I guess that's part of the sacrifice.
Yeah. Some of them really, obviously do really, really well. Others are like on the cusp of it and they get thrown a bone, from time to time. And it's just enough to keep you, complying with everything they want you to do. But I
don't know how you can live like that. I really don't. But there are guys that do it. And then, we had Tom Kenny on last week who's constantly working, but I bet he's not quite at people's beck and call.
That's if you don't like being at beck and call, don't do promo. Don't do, what's it called? Affiliate work
or political spots
or politicals. Yeah. If you don't like that kind of pressure, and you actually like to be off the grid for a couple of days, don't do that. Don't do that kind of work.
Absolutely. Well, we have got a lot more coming up on our special Thanksgiving edition. A reminder, we won't be on next week. We're going dark next week. No, we're not doing a minstrel show. We're just not going to be on. And it's going to be, I'm going to be traveling. George, you're probably going to be eating at somebody else's house. And so we're going to take a week off.
We're going to take advantage of that, yeah.
We need a week off. I know my wife needs a week off. My wife could use a month off, to tell you the truth. But we've got a lot more to talk about tonight. I've got my tip of the week coming up, which will star a few friends. And we've got Chris Fries will be with us in just a little bit, and a lot more right here on East West Audio Body Shop. So stay right where you are.
Welcome back to EWABS. We were expecting you, but we still didn't bake a cake. Here's Dan and George.
It's now time for announcements.
For announcements here at East West Audio Body Shop. Boy, we got a list this week. Let's see here. Starting off, it is Movember. Boy, this thing took off this year. Everybody's growing a mustache.
It's great.
Even me, I've been doing it for
even
the
my
last
Aunt
50
Martha.
years. Ooh. I wouldn't touch that one. Yes. What are the odds your Aunt Martha's watching anyway? Why don't you zoom in on what you've got there?
Yeah, let's
so
check.
Far.
Let's do a progress check here.
All right.
Ba-ba! There you go. 2 weeks right there, folks.
I think I see.
That's what you get for 2 weeks. But, it's great. You walk around town and you see just random folk, and you look at the mustache, and you kind of look at each other and give yourself a little, give each other a little bit of a wink and a nod, and then you realize, yeah, he's doing Movo too, or Movember. So,
yeah, my wife was in the supermarket, saw somebody we know, and said, Movember. Yep, absolutely. I remember last year it was like this, this sort of fringe little thing, and this year they must have done very well last year.
Yeah, I hope so.
What is the email address or the website for that?
I looked up the site. Yeah, well, the main site is us.movember.com. But if you'd like to donate to the team that Dan and I are on, which is with Jeffrey Kafer, the team's called the Movos, MO-VO. So you can always just search for MO-VO, or you can go to us.movember.com/team/601381. So that'll be in the show notes, of course. But it goes for the rest of the month, and it's all about awareness, raising awareness for men's health issues, namely like prostate cancer and testicular cancer and that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Don't want to get that. I've had the other stuff and other parts. You don't want it there. Trust me. Not fun stuff. Okay, what else we got going on here? EWABS mini pop filters. You should have received an email from our wonderful producer, Kathy Curridon. They have been ordered, so coming soon to a mailbox near you.
Just so you know about this guy, Mike Frenchick, who's making these. He called me today in the middle of the afternoon just to warn me that he had to run out of town back east for his father, his ailing father, and that they're going in the mail on Monday. And he was concerned that one of the 25 wasn't quite perfect. And he just wanted to let me know. And he was so concerned, and he was like, if you don't like it, I'll make another one. And I just want to let you know I didn't have enough time to This is the kind of guy he is. He just wants everybody to be incredibly happy with the product. And it really is being made by, a couple of people right here in LA, so it's a really, really unique product. So it'll be out in the mail.
Got mine right here.
By the end of the week. Most of you should have one if I can get it out quickly enough. It's going to come here in a box, and then I'll put them all in envelopes and ship them out.
And I can't wait till our next run, because he's actually improved on it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, December 1st, I was hoping to go, maybe I'll sneak in, I don't know. December party in New York City. It's the annual Voiceover Mixer in New York. It's thanks to Erik Sheppard and the Voxy ladies. It's free, but you gotta RSVP.
Right.
So look on Facebook for the the Voxy ladies or Erik Sheppard and the Voiceover Mixer. Always a good time. I guess they got a really nice venue for it this year.
You went last year, right?
I did not. Everybody says they saw me there last year. Maybe somebody was walking around with one of these things. And hi, I'm Dan Leonard. Twas not I.
It's a time. It's a tough time for me, especially. I think it's a really tough time of year to just get out of town. It's a great time to go if you can, but man. It's tough to travel close to the holidays when you already have other travels planned. But if you're on the East Coast, if you're within driving distance or you have the miles or whatever, get up there and do it. 500 people, I think, went last year.
Wow, yeah. I think they're expecting that this year. But I think this is going to be the last one. It'll morph into some other type of event.
Yeah, it's the last for this format. And then I think you get to a point where you feel like you've reached critical mass or you just can't grow anymore, and that's probably where they're at. So don't miss it.
Here's an excellent opportunity for someone if they want to be a correspondent for us.
No doubt.
Do a report from the mixer.
That would be awesome. Any of you guys you guys with iPhones and those Apogee mics, get out there and be a reporter. It takes a little practice to use an Apogee mic to report with, but believe me, with a little bit of practice, I think you can get some pretty amazingly good sound with that thing. So amazing,
and the video too. Anyway,
yeah, the video.
Also, EWABS memberships. Join up. $35.90. What is it? $35.95?
$39.95.
$39.95. I transposed it. You've seen me type. It's the same way. Yes. Unlimited email from me and George, maybe from both of us. If you got a problem, a question, anything at all, we'll be there to help you out. Just $39.95 a month.
Yeah.
EWABS memberships.
And we bounce stuff off of each other all the time. So Dan might get a clip and say, hey, this, I'm not so sure about this, or what do you think of this? And then I'll respond. And so you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And we usually go, I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on there. Let's see what else.
No.
Let's see. Oh, one more thing. The East West Audio Body Shop. What a great place to get gifts for the one you love, or someone you really don't care about, but want to give them something really nice. I'm getting far too sarcastic with this. I don't know.
It happens after 72 episodes.
It does. But all right, what's the URL to go there and find the myriad of items that we have with our logo?
Well, as always, everything is always available at ewabs.com. We have a link at the upper right-hand corner for the shop. It's also just shop.ewabs.com. Will take you directly there. I have another one that is not maybe on your notes that I added in. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas and Other Classic Children's Stories by Primetime Voices for Children. This is something that Joe Cipriano and some of his friends and fellow voice actors are involved with, and it is a fundraising project. It's a CD, and you can get it from cdbaby.com, and just look for Primetime Voices, and you'll find the CD, and I will also include the link to that in the show notes.
All right. I was going to say, that's going to be in the show notes where all that stuff is. We
always will. Thanks to Jason Lawson. Thanks to him, all this stuff ends up in the show notes. So thank you again, Jason, for doing that.
Right. And that's on our website, ewabs.com, which many of you are sitting at right now, watching the show on. All right. Time for more stuff. This one got put together in a hurry because other stuff was going on this weekend, but let's roll it.
You got it. Here it comes. Da, 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 da. And it is here. There it is. Go.
No doubt about it. I get this question more than any other question.
Hey Dan, what's the best recording software?
What's the best recording software?
What's the best recording software?
Dan, what's the best recording software?
What's the best recording software?
What is the best recording software?
Well, that depends on three important considerations. Are you Mac or PC? What exactly are you doing? And, of course, what's your budget? You sure do have a lot of choices, too. I mean, look at this. SoundForge, Audacity, Reaper, Logic Studio, Audition, Twisted Wave. They're all great platforms. However, there's one I recommend you don't use. Yeah, this guy. Why do I have a problem with this guy? Because Pro Tools is designed primarily for producing music, not voiceover. Yeah, it's great for major production, but not for what we do. So let's change the question. What's the best recording software for voiceover? So in other words, what's easy to use, but does everything you need it to do for simple dry voiceover and perhaps a little bit of enhancement? There's a lot to be said for Audacity. It's great because it's free. It teaches you the basics of visual editing, and it's got a lot of effects that will help you out. But it has one major drawback. You can't scrub. You can't play the audio manually by just taking the cursor and running along the audio. The ability to scrub, or as we used to say in radio, rock the reels, allows you to listen to the audio by moving it back and forth on the cursor, like this. This is scrubbing, being able to do this. It makes it a lot easier to find your cue points because you can hear them as well as see them. And this is Twisted Wave, which I think is a great program. And it's only $79, but alas, it's Mac only. If you're a PC, you have other choices. SoundForge is a great program, and Audacity will work on there, simple, inexpensive. But there is a good multi-platform program that's my favorite. Adobe Audition. There's a reason that I like this software. This software is the best software there is for doing voiceover. It was designed for doing voiceover, mostly for putting together video to voice, which, by the way, kids, is what we do. I think that's an important thing to think about. As you can see, it's a very easy interface, a lot like Photoshop. As a matter of fact, Audition is Photoshop for audio. And here's why I say that. This is a spectrogram. It's showing different frequencies in their relative volume. And this is auto heal. Once you learn how to use this, you'll be able to remove sounds like mouth clicks and nasal thumps and all sorts of stuff just by trying to find these little anomalies like this one here, highlighting it, hitting auto heal, and it's gone. It's magic. Yeah, it's a little more expensive, but it's worth it, and you can use it on Mac and PC. I suggest you try their 30-day trial. As a matter of fact, I say if you really want to find the best software for you, use some of the 30-day free trials that all these companies have, like Sony with SoundForge, and of course Audacity is free, and Audition and Twisted Wave. They all give you 30-day free trials to find out if it works for you. And that's my tip of the week.
All right, so I didn't get beat up too bad there because they're all good. They all work. Mm-hmm. And really, the point I really want to get across here is it's just ones and zeros, guys. It's the way they manipulate them. It's the way the interface works and what works best with you, because we all have different styles of doing things, and each one of these different platforms does things a little bit differently. Some are based on the other ones. If you're just starting off, Audacity is great because you learn to edit visually, but Audition's a great one because you can use it on Mac or PC, and it works the same way either way. If you need some help with learning some of these things, somebody who's mentioning they're having some editing issues, we're available here at EWABS. Send us a question and become a member. We'll sit you down and we'll train you. We'll show you how to do this.
We'll make videos, whatever you want. We can make tutorial videos and send them to you, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you could teach your brother, you could teach anybody. So,
he's probably watching, which is why he said that.
I know.
No, Audacity is. I'm sorry. No, Audacity for what it is for free it's pretty amazing. But it has these limitations that can make it really annoying. I don't like the multi-track, the way it sort of cascades the layers of tracks.
Yeah, it's bad.
There's little things about it I'm not so happy about. It doesn't have a proper noise gate. That's another reason I don't like Audacity. And
it does if you set it up right. I've played with it.
Well, if you're using the Mac version, you can use Adobe. You can use the Apple Audio Units dynamics for a noise gate. But if you're on Windows, you only get the noise reduction thing, and that's not to me a substitute for noise gate. But in Audition, the tools that they give you are phenomenal. It really does come down to if you're just getting started. Twisted Wave all the way.
If you're on a Mac, yeah.
And even if you're like working day to day, but you just don't need to do any, mouth. If you just have an exquisite technique and you don't mouth click and all that stuff, and you don't need those tools, Twisted Wave is great. You thought that Twisted Wave was a lickety-split editor, right? Didn't you find that you could actually edit a little bit quicker than you can in Audition?
Well, once I got, I started using Twisted Wave with the Magic Mouse, where it's like just little finger movements instead of, trying to use, a pad, a finger pad, which is nice. The Magic Mouse just makes it so easy. It's like boom, 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 bang, bang, boom, boom. I can go through. Yeah, and I hardly ever I listen sometimes if I know there's a mistake or something, but I can go through on an audiobook and I can cut through a chapter. It takes me 45 minutes to an hour to read a chapter. It takes me about that time to edit it. So it's almost a one-to-one from a 3-to-1. And then I toss it over to somebody who knows how to proof, like your wonderful wife, Amy, who did a great job on what was an awful book.
We won't say any names, but
we're not going to say what the name of the book is.
No. But
and
she's working on another one that's even worse.
Oh, my commiserates to her. Anyway,
well,
but we're here
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but we're here to help you. We're here to teach you how to use this stuff, and so take advantage of us. All right. We are professionals. We are compensated for our work, but it's worth it. It'll save you thousands.
Totally.
Absolutely. All right. Well, speaking of big money, we've got Chris Fries coming up in just a minute here on East West Audio Body Shop. So stay right where you are, and we'll be right back.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
And now back to the only webcast done with 2 cans, 2 geeks, and a string. East West Audio Body Shop, with George Whittam on his end in the West and Dan Leonard in the East.
And we're back.
We are. What is going on in this? See, we're in a house here. We're doing it in our own homes. I have no idea. There's noises going on. Is Jacob in bed? It's amazing. Sorry, Chris.
You know, the thing is, we don't even hear half of that stuff. We can't hear it.
I know.
You know.
All right. So this guy's sitting over here going, what the hell are these two guys doing?
Did they just blab through the whole show? Do I ever get a word in edgewise?
That's right. And it's his turn now. Welcome to East West Audio Body Shop. Chris Fries, how you doing?
I am doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Boy, and it looks like you have a wonderful little home studio there. It looks remarkably like mine.
Well, you know, I was saying it's the brain trust. This compliments of Mr. George Whittam over there, who designed this bad boy, put it together when my wife and I decided why on earth, but we had another child, and I was using one of the spare bedrooms as my studio. I had a vocal booth, sound room in there and everything. And it was my domain. It was my man cave. And we had another child, and we're like, well, now I got to try to put this kid somewhere. Apparently they require space.
Yeah, you noticed that.
So it was either move or add on, and my wife loves this house, so we added on, and I said, George, I need your help, buddy. So he helped me design this, and now it's my new man cave. So I'm ecstatic.
And it sounds great in there too. Now you're doing a lot of. I mean, I'm looking at this list of stuff here: Hyundai, Rust-Oleum, Yellow Pages, DishNet, Purina, Harley, and it's all this different stuff. Things that have nothing to do with each other. But you got into voiceover a little bit differently than the rest of us. I mean, we all got in some pretty strange ways. But what's your original background?
Well, about 20 years ago, I was in radio, and that's not uncommon. A lot of people come over from radio. And at that time, a couple of the on-air personalities were saying, yeah, voiceover, man, that's where it's at. That's where the big money is, easy stuff. And I said, okay, interesting. Know nothing about it or anything. And 10 years of my life went by, and I was in a career that I wasn't happy with and ended up getting laid off from. And I was listening to a morning radio show, K-Rock, and Ralph Garman, who co-hosts with Kevin and Bean, he, I guess, does voiceover, and he was doing some animation work, and he had said, he was talking about it. And I said, hey, I remember 10 years ago, they were talking about that. And you know what? I'm kind of in between jobs right now. And it was something that it's been one of those things that I've always wanted to do and didn't know how to get into and still didn't know how to get into. And I was able to email Ralph Garman there at the radio station. They advertised their email address and asked the listeners to email whenever they want. So I said, all right, well, how do you get into this? What do you do? And he mentioned getting into a Susan Blue class he recommended. As a matter of fact, my first class was with the late, great Cynthia Sanjay. I took a 3-week animation, 3-week commercial, and cut my demo right after that. One class, I cut a demo way too soon. Obviously needed to work a little bit more on that, but I continued to take classes, though, continued to, and not just for the purpose of learning, which is very important, but for the purpose of networking and meeting people. And it was just as important for me to take the class, but also to say, is there going to be a guest director? Is there going to be an agent that's going to sit in on one of the classes, a casting director, a producer, an ad agency exec, or something like that, where I can say hi, and try to show off for them, and maybe get their email address, which they often allowed and gave to the students. And I kept in touch with them, and I kept a meticulous list of contacts of people that I met. And just like any job, voiceover is very much who you know. And the way I was able to advance was through referrals to the various agents in that. It's so hard to get an agent just by cold calling. As a matter of fact, that's damn near impossible to do cold calling. They don't want to hear from you with a cold call. The next least favorite is an email, to just cold and say, hey, looking for representation. Unless you're a name, they don't care and they don't want to know. But I was able to stumble my way and meet my way into these referrals that got me to the various levels and allowed me more and more top shelf opportunities. And with my determination, with my training, and just the opportunities, things started to stick, and it was like a snowball effect.
Yeah. But when times were tough between these situations, you had some interesting jobs, I hear.
I did. I got started maybe about 10 years ago, and the first 3-4 years, it was lean. It was like Top Ramen kind of lean. That's
Top Ramen and mac and cheese.
Exactly. So I said, well, I've got to bring some money in here. This is not going as fast as I'd like. And I was willing to do 7-Eleven graveyard shifts or work at a gas station 24 hours. The key is to do something that I could work overnight and then still do voiceover during the day. I didn't want to have it interrupt with voiceover. Waiting tables, that was an option too, I suppose. But a buddy of mine, he works as a deputy sheriff for LA County Sheriffs, and he says, you know what? You should be a jailer for LA County. I mean, it's so easy. You could totally graveyard shifts. And I mean, in a sense, it is easy, but going through the process, and if you ever have to put that training into practice when you run into a confrontational situation, if you know what I mean, that can be a little harrowing. But he's saying, it's easy. You work, great benefits, pretty good pay, and
doesn't hurt that you're doesn't hurt that you're what, 6'4" or something like that?
6'6", yeah. Or as in Fletch, 6'9" with the afro, as Chevy Chase would say.
Yeah.
But anyway, 6'6", and that helped, But I had to go through the academy and the whole 9 yards. And as a matter of fact, I'm now 43. At the time, I was like 36 or so. And everybody in this academy is like 22 years old. And I'm, this old man and trying to keep up. And I did okay, I got to say. But I ultimately then became a jailer working in Men's Central Jail in downtown Los Angeles. The worst of the worst. And that was... That was tough, but it did allow me. I mean, I got the graveyard shifts, and as a matter of fact, it helped me a lot with, I think, specifically my video game reads, because I had to use the big boy voice on a few occasions in jail.
Oh yeah.
people didn't really seem to respond to, excuse me, inmate, could you, move along in the line, please? No, they didn't really respond to that. You kind of had to, get in there and come on, get against the wall and, that kind of stuff.
So it's all an act when you're doing that. I mean, you're trying to be tough and stuff like that, but you're thinking, I can say this stuff just to get these guys to do what I need them to do. Almost like being a drill sergeant.
Well, and you couldn't show fear too, because if they smelled fear, you were dead meat on a stick there. You did not want. As a matter of fact, I remember one of the first times I had to walk the road to do a head count. It was laundry day, where the inmates would have to throw their sheets out onto the aisleway, and inmate workers would collect them and distribute new sheets. So the row was strewn with these bed linens and sheets and that, and I had to walk the row, and I'm thinking, and it's the first time I'm walking the row, right? And I'm thinking, okay, don't trip on the sheets, don't trip on the sheets, don't let them see you're scared. Come on, man, make it through the line. And you're walking through, looking tough.
That's right, we bad.
That was, that was tough stuff. But it was a means to an end. As a matter of fact, after I had was able to leave, my wife was missing the great health benefits, and I said, "Don't worry, honey, SAG benefits are really good too."
Yeah, really. Be patient. Yeah, Diane Merritt was wondering if you met Lindsay Lohan while you were there.
Oh, she was over in the. I actually put in to work at the women's jail, not for the reasons.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But because it was closer to my house. But unfortunately, they wanted mostly female jailers for obvious reasons to work those facilities.
Yeah. You also worked online poker.
Yeah, that was another. Before I succumbed to having to go through the jail, I was at the time, you could gamble online poker and for real money. And so I was, in between doing when I first got started, I was doing a lot of pay to play stuff. And so as auditions would pop up in my email, I had some time to kill, and I, decided to play a little online poker, and I was doing okay. I was making like maybe $100 a day, enough to help pay a few bills and that. But and I said, hey, this is great. This is no problem. I could just do the poker audition. That's how I'll do it. But unfortunately, apparently, these hot streaks, they tend to come to an end, and I started losing money. So I said, no, this isn't the way to go. Apparently, that's why they call it gambling. Right. And now I just do it for free, because now I guess I don't think you can do online poker for money now. I think there's something about a law or something.
Some government thing.
It's going on in the back of somebody's house anyway, so why bother online?
I worked on a movie about poker that was funded by a director who made the money playing online poker. So there you go.
It is. I mean, and it was funny because I'd make say $100 or so, and I'd transfer it over in my PayPal account, and this was like, hey man, set them up, knock them down. This is no problem, and it was a very easy way there for a while until the cards started falling my way.
Yeah, but fortunately, fortune smiled upon you, and you were able to find your way through the maze and got yourself some representation, and now you're doing some big time stuff here.
It's just a matter of the hard work, the persistence, the refusal to go away. I think that's one of the things that, as a matter of fact, a friend of mine, a neighbor, and you guys know, and I'm sure everybody out in the voiceover world knows, Scott Rummel, literally lives right down the street, and he would give me this advice as I was coming up, and I followed that advice to the letter, and now to this point, doing okay. And Scott talks to me and says, it's funny, Chris, because I told you what to do, and you actually did it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I told him, I'm like, why wouldn't I? I mean, it's consider the source here, This is a wealth of information and experience and success. Why wouldn't I do this? And he said, you'll be surprised. People, when you tell them, they have to go to school, you have to do the training, you have to, do this legwork beforehand, people just won't necessarily always follow through or only do so for a period of time. And now I'm actually teaching other people myself, and I'm telling them what to do, pretty much what Scott told me to do, telling them. And I'm finding exactly what Scott had told me is happening, where people aren't, when I say, yeah, you got to go to classes and, they can kind of be expensive. And then you got to start to look at maybe some of your studio equipment. You don't have to go crazy expensive, but, you want to sound good. So, and I'd make certain recommendations and they'd say, I got to go to class. Well, I already know how to read. So, what? I just read on a microphone. He goes, well, it's not quite that easy, but, if you want to go that route, then you're more than, able to.
Stock up on the ramen noodles. You'll be fine.
I guess so. But
should we show an example of one of Chris's?
Yeah.
This is Chris actually in the booth where he's at now, but shot from outside with my cell phone. So excuse the quality, but take a look at something that Chris worked on recently here.
Elantra and Hyundai Sonata both come with Hyundai Assurance, including America's best warranty. That is a fact. Inside and out, they're two of the nicest looking cars on the road. That is a very popular opinion. Both have been named 2012 IIHS top safety picks. Fact. And for a limited time, you can get the stylish 2013 Hyundai Elantra or elegant 2013 Hyundai Sonata with 0 down payment, 0 first month's payment, and 0 security deposit. Also a fact. For another opinion, well, you'll have to come in and test drive one yourself.
All right, that was perfect. I think we got it.
Cool.
Yeah, George, your hair was a real your hair was a real mess in the window there too. It looks like you have a little horn growing out of your head there.
My hair goes crazy around here.
Yeah. Now you've got a big window in there. Now, is it that you like being in the zoo, or I don't understand the window thing in a big studio, but why did you guys go with a window on that?
Well, George, why don't you go ahead and answer that one?
Well, while I'm talking, why don't you do a slow 360 pan, and you can just show. So, because Chris was starting, from scratch, and we had a lot of, square footage to work with, if you have the luxury of having a window that then faces an exterior window, that is obviously a wonderful thing to have, because now you can get natural daylight into your booth. And I don't know, it just changes the quality of life for you when you're working in a space that is lit with some natural light. Now, the booth also has LED lighting from the ceiling, on track. So, it keeps it relatively cool in there and stuff. But, that to me, I was like, well, let me look at this. I'm gonna do a little math here, figure out how much absorption we need. And we had a really nice high ceiling, which was an important requirement for Chris. He didn't want to feel claustrophobic. And it just worked out that we could have that big piece of glass there. Now, it certainly helps as well that Chris is using a 416 Sennheiser shotgun, which is pretty directional. And I think if he was maybe on like a Neumann or something, it may be a little bit more problematic. But we've got enough absorption in there on all the other surfaces, the ceiling, everywhere, that to make up for that big piece of glass. So it kind of breaks some of the rules that we talk about in home studio design. But if you do it just right, you can get away with it.
That's right. Now, aside from commercial work, you're getting heavy duty into doing what I think a lot of us would like to do, because it's a lot of fun work if you've ever done some of this, and that's video games. You're in this new release of Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is a big timer, and Medal of Honor. So it's like you've been fighting these wars, haven't you?
It is interesting how I seem to be getting cast for a lot of monsters, a lot of soldiers, a lot of hero type kind of things where but yeah, it seems to be leading in that direction. I try to not to get myself too pigeonholed, but yeah, Call of Duty. Actually, I did a promo trailer for Black Ops 2. I was also in World at War, the last World War II one that also had Gary Oldman and Kiefer Sutherland in that one.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun. And then the Medal of Honor in 2010 and the Medal of Honor 2012 that just came out a little bit, Guild Wars 2, but a lot of Navy SEALs, a lot of those types of things that I guess tend to lend themselves to my particular signature sound or vocal quality. And hey, I don't complain, but one of the burdens to bear with that is some of the vocal stress that I'll get because of the screaming and the dying, and I get some direction, which is interesting. The director will say, "Okay, Chris, I'm I'm going to describe a scenario here, and these are going to be your death screams. So I'm going to, and that's, yeah, they'll call it death screams. So I'm going to describe something, and then you go ahead and give me the appropriate noise for that. And it might be, you're getting hit in the head, you're getting hit in the stomach, you're getting kicked in the shins or whatever. So the normal, and then the gunshots or whatever. But then it's like, okay, you're being tortured, you're tied down, and you're having your eyes carved out with a knife. Go. Like, ouch. or there was a weapon that where it fires at you like an arrow, and so it's getting punctured by an arrow, but then it's a ball of acid that's starting to eat your arm. So give me the impact and then the acid sound. Ready? Go.
My God, what are you kids playing out there?
Needless to say, much of these are rated M for mature.
Well,
I'm glad to hear that.
Here's a little clip of the Medal of Honor spot that Chris worked on. I'll fly it in here for you guys. Check this out.
We're going to take the fight to them. Wherever they are, wherever they go.
Get us out of here, Odd-Job!
I know what you've given, the sacrifices you made. But you know we can't walk away from this. You know we can make this right. We got a second chance, brother. I need you on this. Clock is ticking. Let's finish it.
Yeah.
This is Chris Fries.
All right.
All right. Well, I remember that one. Great voice. That's fabulous stuff.
So that's not just the VO. You're actually the character that you see walking through the shot there.
Yeah. I get to return. That's one of the things about video games, where the downside to video games, where you don't get the residuals and the royalties like you would in commercials and that. But if you're fortunate enough, you get back in the sequels. So coming back as Dusty in this one was a big treat, because in voiceover, we all know it's not about the job you just booked. It's about getting the next job.
Right.
And yeah, to be able to be asked back for this was great. It was actually interesting with Call of Duty World at War. I'm all excited. That was, I think, one of my first big major video games. And they sit me down, and the producer kind of leans forward, and he looks to the left, he looks to the right, and then he looks at me and says, "Chris, you don't make it in this one." And I'm thinking, I still get paid though, right? so yeah. But unfortunately, there will be no sequel for Sergeant Sullivan in that one. So I'm like, that's too bad.
Well, somebody asked in the chat room, when you do come back, does your pay rate go up? Do you have to renegotiate? How's that go?
It actually did. Yeah, that was kind of one of the nice things. And the great thing with Medal of Honor, I didn't have very many death screams. Well, I didn't die, but yelling out screams as far as barking out orders, that can obviously be vocally stressful too. But yeah, that is another nice thing about kind of climbing your way up the video game food chain. You don't work for scale quite as often, and get a little bit nicer pay there. It's nice.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Now you're also doing a lot of narration stuff. You're crossing the gamut here. This is fun when you can do a lot of this different stuff. But you've been on narrating on Swamp Brothers, there's a good one, Extreme Neighbors, a fun show. Mushers. and
the first episode was when a KKK family moves next door to evangelists, and it's like Jerry Springer, man.
It's like a petri dish. I swear they're doing this stuff on purpose.
I don't see any problem with that. KKK and evangelists? No, there's never going to be an issue there.
Oh, jeez. But there's some other one. Mushers. That must be, what is that about? Being in Alaska?
Yeah, Alaskan sled dogs.
Yeah, and Amish, Out of Order. I haven't seen that one yet.
This is when Amish go mainstream and they leave the faith, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're narrating those.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, great stuff.
We're getting more and more questions about, because the shot I showed earlier of you in the booth, down in the corner, there's this little Lexicon Alpha. And somebody's like, isn't that $60 Lexicon Alpha? And I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well,
George?
you know what? Let's just go through your studio. We don't have to show it. Well, actually, somebody else wanted to see your ceiling. Tilt your screen back on your MacBook just for a second. They want to see what was on your ceiling.
Okay.
Just like lean it back for a second. So that's the way the ceiling's done in there.
Ah, very nice.
Bass trapping, all on the ceiling.
And an extra large air conditioned vent too, which
oh yeah, very
was
large.
nice for the summer times there.
Keeps it cool. Yeah. But equipment wise, we got the Sennheiser 416. It's going into that's the Avalon 737. That's the tube preamp.
See it.
And I know when you got started, you were taking a lot of cues from Scott Rummel on what to get, and that's what he's using. So it's not a bad combination. You know, it works for Scott. It's probably going to work for you too. And then that whole system, there's a Zephyr in there as well for ISDN. But the Lexicon Alpha is what we're using as the AD into the computer, and that may seem like a really entry level basic unit, but I have to be honest, and we talk about it on the show too about what works and what doesn't. I have been searching for the perfect simple interface that plugs into a mixer. If you have a mixer and you have all this going on, how do you get the audio into the computer? And we've tried all sorts of stuff. We've gone.
We went through a few of them. I had some glitches with some earlier stuff that we settled on. I guess what Bo Weaver uses the Lexicon, right?
Well, here's how it goes. It's like Bo will buy something, he'll try it out, and we'll sort of like bounce back and forth. Sometimes he'll even give it to me to try out. And we've done that with the Echo Audio Fire from Echo, which is a fantastic device. But then we started running into problems with the Mac OS. Yes, Mac OS is not perfect. And they, when they went to Lion, all of a sudden new glitches came up that never were a problem before. And, we don't have the time to wait for these things to work themselves out, so we had to scramble and find something else. And I was like, let's try this thing. I told Bo about it and he likes it. So, and it seems to be working for him. So I'll get one for you. And, again, it's simple. It doesn't have any phantom power, but you don't need it. You're using a mic preamp with it. Yep. And the bottom line is, could you have better AD converters on in your studio? Yeah, sure you could. Is it more than adequate for our needs? Yes. Yeah. And that's to me what really matters. Is it reliable? So far, it's proven to be reliable. Yeah. And the other thing about that unit, even though it's inexpensive, it's been on the market for, I don't know, at least 5-6 years. The whole Lexicon Alpha, Omega, that line, it's been out there a long time, but it's still being sold. So that to me means that they did something right. And that means now it's been vetted for 6 years. And so to me, that's a good thing too. I get really nervous about buying something that just came out and saying, put this in your home studio, because I have no way of knowing, is it really reliable,
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, then anything that I wanted to put in here when it got to the Sennheiser or the Avalon, and like I say, I tried to mirror it after Scott as much as I could. And I was probably even premature at the stage of my career when I wanted to upgrade my stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will say, and I'm sure you guys too, it's like, no, you don't have to get the Sennheiser or the Avalon, or when do you need to get ISDN and that. My philosophy was, and it's not for everyone, it's what I wanted to do is while I was still but an embryo in the business, I upgraded. Of course I saved my money. I was working the jails, I was doing what I could, and I bought the Sennheiser and I got the Avalon and I, dare I say, I got the ISDN before I was even booking ISDN jobs.
Yeah,
I wanted because some of the regional agents that I started working with were saying, well, we'd work with you, but we need you to have an ISDN. So on the false promise of potential work, I'm like, well, I gotta make myself more attractive to some of these regional suitors throughout the country, and it was a matter of just trying to make myself more attractive and marketable to agents, producers, creative directors, and that, and it worked for me. I mean, it was a gamble, like I said, because what's the upfront cost on the Tele Zephyr was at the time between $4,000 and $5,000. Now they're down a little more, but of course,
get them used.
Yeah, get them used, exactly.
I know. I always tread the line on that. That if you build it, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. But you have to be intelligent about it. And you did your homework, and you knew you were working into that part of the business where you would need it. And it doesn't pay off for everybody. But the thing is it's equipment. Don't get attached to it. If you buy it and you try it and you find out it's not making you money, let it go.
Right. Well, and that also kind of spurred me on to make sure that I diversified my voiceover portfolio as much as I could.
Yeah.
And it's showing some of the success now with doing narration of cable shows and the video games and the commercials and that, because I'm doing a little radio imaging, and I wanted to throw my hat into as many rings as I was interested in, to not only because I was interested in it, but also to maximize my revenue earning potential. More opportunities, and it paid off in that regard. Some people, they just want to focus on certain areas of voiceover, and that's fine, and that's great. My idea was like, well, I like it, and why not? Why not expand to as much as I possibly can? Of course, it requires training in each of those specific areas, because doing a commercial read is different from narrating a cable show, which is different from voicing a war video game. So training in the various genres, and demos, to pay for demos to get yourself set there. You can't just say, yeah, I do narration. No, I don't have a demo, but I got a really good sound and I've been practicing. And as good as that may be, you got to obviously showcase yourself appropriately through the demos and the website and whatever. And so kind of advancing that way too helped.
Yeah. Well, Chris, it's been wonderful having you on your show tonight.
Thank you.
What beautiful looking studio.
Thank you.
And we all know how important how good a studio looks is. As we say, no one ever sees where they make the sausage, but at least you got a really nice kitchen there, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it helps.
Makes it comfortable, that's for sure. You spend a lot of hours in here. You want to be comfortable doing it, and George did a phenomenal job, and I thank you, sir. And I couldn't be happier.
Thank you.
Very good. And of course, we can't wait to have you on again. So thanks for being with us on East West Audio Body Shop.
My pleasure, guys.
Thanks
All right.
again.
Have a great night. All righty. We got more to come here at East West Audio Body Shop. Where are you going to go? I know you're still packing, but whatever. We'll be right back after this.
VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverextra.com.
Et voilà, this is East West Audio Body Shop with Dan Leonard in the East and George Whittam in the West. Merci. Et maintenant, back to the show.
Bonsoir, bonsoir.
Oh, la, la, la.
Yes. Well, we're back here in East West Audio Body Shop, and one of the things we like to talk about is our great friend Harlan Hogan, because he has the best voiceover store in the world, because it's not hard to negotiate. All you got to do is go to voiceoveressentials.com and look at all the wonderful stuff that he has in there. If I could grab a catalog here. I won't say which catalog it is.
I know what it is.
But it's a huge catalog. How can you make a decision with all this stuff?
Yeah.
Come on. It's just too many pages. Too many options.
Too many options.
The best thing to do is to go to voiceoveressentials.com, because Harlan's got more stuff that, what he's thought about it. He's like, well, this is good. Well, actually, how would he say it? Well, this is good, and this is good, and this is pretty, and I think this is pretty good too. We talk to Harlan too much, but go over to voiceoveressentials.com. He's got, now he's got studio monitors, and was that the Dragonfly I see there, the blue Dragonfly?
Yeah.
He's got access to just about everything, but and I know they'll probably, there's wind of some sort of a sale coming up, but we won't say when.
You know, it's that time of year. It's sale time, so pay attention.
It is.
Pay attention.
Pay attention. But if there's something you need, I mean, there's the vaunted TLM 103 and all sorts of stuff.
Here's something a little odd. You know, I was looking through to see what kind of products that he's added, just to see. Here's the Bose Companion 2 Series 2 multimedia speaker system, and you think, you know, us in the professional industry go, Bose, no high, no lows, it must be Bose, whatever. But actually, these are some really actually great sounding speakers. I have the same ones, just a couple generations older, very compact, and they sound great. They take up very little space, and I think they're not as accurate as a higher end studio monitor, but for the price as well as the amount of space they take up, I think they're great. And I think in a small studio, space is a premium, and finding something that's as small as these that still sounds good is hard. So this is a interesting choice, but I can definitely get behind this one.
Yeah. Don't you have Bose speakers?
Not right now. I now have the Blue Sky EXO series speakers, which is a 3-way system. It has a subwoofer on the floor.
Oh, okay.
And I like bass. What can I I love subwoofers, but there's also a knob that I can turn it down anytime right from the front of this unit. But
of course, the fact that you like that stuff, in about 20 years, I'm going to be George, you know, what? I can hear a damn word I'm going to say.
But there's a lot of equipment here of all different makes and models. He's not going to leave anything out. If he thinks it's good, and he'll also bounce stuff off of us, get ideas from us. But if we think something's good, chances are it ends up here. And sometimes things that we talk about on the show, I'll look in here and all of a sudden there it is. So he's paying attention out there to what you should have in your studio.
That's right. VoiceOverEssentials.com. Go there, buy his stuff.
Please.
We love you, and he loves you too.
Thanks, Harlan.
Anyway, thank you very much, Harlan Hogan and VoiceOverEssentials.com. All right, let's get back into the meat of the matter. You know, while we were talking to Chris Fries, this odd thought just suddenly struck me, because he was saying, well, you know, Scott Rummel lives down the street.
Right.
And remember the movie with Sylvester Stallone, Copland?
Yeah.
Why don't we have a town of voiceover people? Now, imagine what that would be like. You know, call it Voland or something along those lines. It'd be very different.
That's called Los Angeles.
That's called Los Angeles.
No, another client of mine moved out. You know, Chris is out in Yorba Linda, you know, way out of here. And then I have another client that moved like into the woods up in, you know, Malibu, Calabasas area. And he moves on this little street and he's like, yeah, it turns out there's 2 other voice actors on my street. I mean, he is like in the middle of nowhere, you know. So they tend to gravitate somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we have the virtual Voland here with our wonderful audience that shows up here every week without fail. You guys are wonderful. We love having you here.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for being here. Now, we've got a couple of things. You've got some pictures and some sound of somebody's studio that was sent in to us.
I do, actually. I've got Craig Bowers. Did you meet Craig at Voice 2012?
Yeah, and the 400 other people that were there.
Yeah, I think he mentioned sitting down with you and chatting, and we never got to meet. But he sent in, you know, he sent his clip into my Dropbox, and Dan and I both have Dan's got the specimen cup, and I have the Dropbox, which is a place where you can just leave your audio sample, and we'll give you an honest and totally objective, you know, critique on the audio quality. So he sent his in, and it's pretty rare that I can't find anything that I would really change. But in his particular case, I was impressed, and I decided that I thought I wanted to share this on the show because I just thought it sounded great. And why not? Instead of saying bad audio of the week, so here's a shot of the space he's working in, which is really unusual. It's a unique scenario. And
it's like a 4-poster bed.
Yeah, I'm going to play the audio clip. You won't hear us while it's playing, so just stand by here.
Hi, George. Thanks so much for doing this. Here comes silence. If you're in the market for a high-quality used car, we have great news. The Ford Certified Pre-Owned Sales Event is on now. Only the best pre-owned models in the best condition become Ford Certified Pre-Owned vehicles. Each one has gone through a complete 172-point inspection, and all are backed by Ford with a total 7-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty for your peace of mind. 0.9% financing's been arranged just for this event, so visit your California Ford dealer now for all the details. Hi, George. Thanks so much for doing this. Here comes silence.
So yeah, that's why
really
it was
silent.
That's why it was so quiet at the top there, because he was giving me room tone.
Yeah.
And no, that wasn't like a gated room tone. That was just a natural room tone.
Can you make that picture a little bit bigger so we can get a
yeah,
little bit
let me
better-
go full screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so he sent me 2 shots. This is here's the tight shot. This is just the workstation showing the equipment he's using. And you know what? I'll tell you. When I sent Dan this thing and he was like, "I love it," except for pretty much every piece of equipment he's using, right? He's using a DVX channel strip. He's using an MBox. He's using Pro Tools and and you know, and it just at the end of the day, A, if you know what you're doing, and B, if you got a little bit of luck, you can make almost any chain of equipment sound great. Some of it just takes a lot more skill and perseverance and knowledge to get great sound out of. And I think this is, you know, one of those situations, but it really does come across and sound great. But one of the reasons it does sound great is the acoustics. And what he had done here is he actually has this, if you look at it, you can just barely see, let me drag this into the shot a little bit more. If you look, you can just barely see this thing is supported or suspended from the ceiling. And it's got like theatrical curtains all the way around.
Right.
And so it's like the corner of a pretty big room that he just curtained off. And inside
like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. And then inside these draperies, if I recall, I don't have the email right in front of me, but he mentioned that there's foam, like acoustical foam, layered, sort of suspended between these curtains. So it just looks like a curtain there, but there's actually acoustical foam as well as the curtain. And I mean, you know, it really works. I mean, you heard the recording. But so I thought it was clever. I thought it was unique, and I wanted to share that, and I want to make that a regular recurring segment on the show. I'd love to share your studios. We're going to have great studio of the week. So if you want to submit your studio, your sound, and your picture for the show, we would love to have that for each week.
Yes, that's beautiful. I mean, it actually looks like a theater.
I know, I love it. I think it's a really neat design. I might steal it.
Yeah, I can see him standing in the back doing Shakespeare there.
So when we do home studios, a big room that you then take a piece of and kind of curtain it off or wall it off works really well. As long as it's pretty quiet, you know, it has to be relatively quiet in there, but you know, it works remarkably well because that big room is taking care of all the bass stuff, all that low frequency junk that gets built up in a booth or a closet, and gives you really nice sound.
Yep. Acoustics is everything.
Oh man, it sure is. It sure is.
We talked about that last week, and the week before,
and
the week before, and the week before.
We will never let it die.
Never let it die, because that's the key. Acoustics is everything. So you got to understand, you got to know what to listen for, and then how to dampen it. And then last week we talked about how the difference between sound dampening and soundproofing, they're not the same.
Exactly. We're starting to do more tweeting, by the way. Dan and I are, you know, we're picking up on the tweet. I've been tweeting personally
you tweet.
for a while.
I haven't got the tweet thing yet.
You know what? I keep hearing that. It is the social network. If you're going to be on any one social network to promote your business, I'm hearing that Twitter is the one. And I'm hearing it from people who are already successful and are using it to grow their business. One of the first one to tell me recently was Tara Strong. She's like, "What? You're not tweeting like every day?" And so I'm following her, and she tweets like crazy. She's nuts on there. But we're tweeting more and more, and we are EWABS at EWABS_show. EWABS_show. So tune into that and follow us on there, and retweet us and mention us. And we'll do the same for you, of course.
Absolutely.
Dan is on there. He's Home Studio Man. Yep. And I'm VO.
Home Studio Man with no E.
Right.
It was the only way it worked.
Right. Oh, HOM, HOM.
Yes.
Because you can only fit
Home Studio Man.
Gotcha. Thanks. and then I'm VO Studio Tech, and I'm using this new thing called Buffer, and it's just a way to tweet and post things on Facebook without having to be sitting at your computer all day long. And so I'm going to be doing more and more of just sharing things that I've found on the internet that I think are really handy for everybody out there using Buffer. And so tune in, because you know, I subscribe to a lot of blogs and a lot of technical blogs and things, and I read a lot of news. And anytime something comes up, I'm going to stick it in Buffer. It'll pop up in Twitter and Facebook, and I think sometimes even LinkedIn. So you can follow us in any one of these places and stay in the know. But tell your friends we're on Twitter, and we're going to keep using it. And it's if not the wave of the future, it's definitely what's hot right now. So definitely stay tuned into that.
Yeah, I'm going to need some Twitter lessons.
We need to have a social network expert on. Of course, we know Corvo is fantastic at it.
He is.
So, you know, maybe we can get him on again. There's some others out there like Terry Daniel, who's
Terry. We need to have Terry on. Of course, we have to be on his show too, on their podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But both
Voiceover
of them,
Cafe.
I think we're long overdue to have Terry on. So
I think so.
All
right, Catherine, take note.
We need to get Terry Daniel. So if we don't squeeze him in by the end of the year, then definitely the first month or two of next year we'll get Terry on. But social networking is incredibly important, and you know, never before have you been able to reach so many people without spending money on, you know, traditional advertising, and
Yes.
I think more effectively than traditional advertising.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to, as you say, wrap it up in a nice, neat little bow, but we do have a couple of things here. Next week, again, we're not going to be here. We're going to be eating leftovers.
Sleeping.
And probably sleeping, and taking a week off. So we figured you guys could have a week off. It doesn't sound like you want one, do you? But we're going to be gone next week.
Watch the reruns.
Watch the reruns.
There's tons on YouTube. You guys, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube,
72 of them.
Yeah, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you should be, so you never miss an episode. But there's a lot of shows on there.
Yeah, so you can watch anytime you want.
Mm-hmm.
But always, of course, we love having you here live when we do this Sunday night. On December 2nd, the lovely Randy Kay will be with us.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Great coach, great voice actress, and somebody from the East, as opposed to all these out in the coast friends.
I know it's been West Coast heavy lately. We need to keep it, spread it around.
Yes, and then on December 9th, Joan Baker, who seems to hail from both places.
She's a New Yorker now.
She's a New Yorker, but she's out in California a lot. And lots of other great guests. And so that's coming up in December as we get towards the holidays. Want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to you and Amy and Ella.
Thank you. You too. To your family as well.
And I hope everybody don't eat too much, just enough.
Just enough. That's what leftovers are for, everybody.
That's right. And mayonnaise.
And let me say to my dad, good luck, because I know you have to go out to my mom's family at the farm in central Pennsylvania, and good luck. That's all I got to say.
Yes.
It's great. Like crazy family.
Yes. And of course, we'd like to thank our wonderful producer, Kathy Curridin, who out down in San Diego way, helping us produce the show and helping us getting all these great guests on. And of course, we'd like to thank our wonderful wives, with whom out the show probably wouldn't be done. You're doing what? So we thank you for your permission for doing that. And they are wonderful people and wonderful wives, and we thank them for their support. And of course, Jason Lawson for the show notes, and everybody else and people who helped out with my tip of the week this week, if you recognize some of them, especially Mr. Emmy Award winner there. And that's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back December 2nd with Randy Kay. So you have yourself a great Thanksgiving. I'm Dan Leonard here in the East.
And I'm George Woodham out here in the West.
And together we are East-West Audio Body Shop. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Take care, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.